next we have a look at social CRM. Social CRM is, as I mentioned before, a key part of really building business value into social. We have 2 workshops on it tomorrow. Again, if you want to sign up, please contact at the front desk. But here we have a case study from China of how Nestle is actually doing social CRM and building it in. So we'll have Hannelore come out in just a moment. First, we want to show a video, please. So Hannelore from Nestle, based originally out of Vevey, but now based out of Beijing. Tell us a little bit more about ChaMa. What is the insight that it was built on, and what is the intention or the aim, the ambition?
Well, the big insight we built on is actually also...
Maybe we should move away from the slide while you're showing the...
Do I have to? So it's actually built on these 3 key pillars, which we identified globally, and we break them down into the market, so also in China. So the first big insight is that there's always only a one-time mother in China, and she can also only look to her mother, but that's a different generation, and they don't really want to do this. So that's why we brought together other experienced moms of the same age, and they then find big sisters, find little sisters. And that's where what we do through listening. So we do a lot of listening at Nestle. We call this proactive listening. We also do a lot of defensive listening in China. But in this case, what is important for social media is proactive listening.
So the fundamental insight is the legacy of the one-child policy, effectively.
Yes.
So we're trying to help the mothers who cannot connect to their mothers because of the development of China, and they can't connect to their sisters because they're single child.
Precisely, yes. And that's where the entire thing is created around. And actually, while we are sitting here, the ChaMa one has already been out more than a year, and is the most popular branded portal for mothers in China. And today we are actually relaunching it because we started with a web page and with a Weibo page, Sina Weibo page, and now we are relaunching the web page. We are also adding a mobile application with lots of features, and then we will also add Wechat into it. So because that's for us it's just the perfect way, and we will explore how the moms can best engage in community.
I'd love to come back to WeChat because I know you're a huge advocate and wildly interested in the power of what WeChat is doing. But sticking first with the social CRM end of things, the overall thing is you're engaging with customers in a way that you had not been able to engage with them before in China or anywhere? Or how does it work?
Well, social brings us the possibility that we can engage in a different way, more efficient way. And also it might open up new ways, that's for sure. But it actually, if you want to engage, you can either engage in communities, which you create yourself outside on community platforms. But if you cannot really, the Sina Weibo is not an engagement platform. It's more a branding platform, a broadcasting platform. So for China, we are really looking into WeChat, and that is what's bringing us to a new game.
Onto WeChat, what is interesting about that platform in particular?
Well, it is comparable to Facebook or Google because you actually only invite the friends. So it's a closed community. It's a friends community, and it also gives you. It's all on mobile, so it's always with the mums. It needs to be very service orientated, and that's all what we would like to provide the mums. We try to put it, for example, for consumer service, so that frequently asked questions can be asked and can be answered automated through WeChat. And we are trying this currently, actually not with ChaMa yet, but we are trying this with one of our other brands, with Hyatt, with the infant formula, where we have a very established community also around mums. And we are starting this that first the moms, that we funnel the consumer questions, because you're facing a lot of numbers and increasing numbers in China. And so this is where it might show up in the bottom line later on.
So it's really a consumer engagement platform to react to their questions, their concerns.
Yes, to react their questions and concerns when in the case of Wise, but for the case of ChaMa, it will link the big sisters with the little sisters. So it will give them the possibility to really, like with a friend, to connect, to get to know, and to really ask the questions. And then, of course, we can pop in with other questions.
And how do you measure the effectiveness?
Well, this is a big question. I mean, as I'm saying, we are not at the end. It's a journey. Social media, how does it transform? A social CRM is actually a journey. So we will measure the effectiveness by the engagement rate. Although it's more difficult to get figures out of WeChat, but its engagement rate, it's identifying our advocates. You know that in China you have a lot of KOLs, but they are more treated as media. So for us it's very important to identify the brand advocates, and then we have to measure how those brand advocates then and those mums are influencing other mums again, as you also are restricted to talk about infant formula and to talk about brands. So it's really like for this very emotional topic, and for us it's really to create a community where the mothers can find themselves and can feel themselves comfortable and really ask questions, and we provide the services and the answers they need.
Yeah, and it's interesting.
And the product really comes in the back.
Back in relation to John Bell's presentation on brand advocacy, you're making that distinction between brand advocates and KOLs, or highly influential individuals who in China might be treated more as a media buy. You'd pay, there's it's sort of a media space rather than somebody who's talking about your brand in a more spontaneous and genuine way.
Yes, it's a media.
Right. So identifying brand advocates in and of itself is a value of a social CRM platform. That's
of course, and also identify the right network. Yes. Around this, because it will amplify. You need to, of course, we need the amplification, and that's why we need to identify our pure mothers, the pure community, the pure brand advocates amongst this. But this is a journey. Again, first of all, you have to establish the community, then you have to gain a certain threshold of people in there and engagement rate. and also the engagement turned on by earned media, so by posts, by questions they asked amongst themselves, and they step into the brands, and then later on measuring and then trying to treat even these advocates differently.
What are some of the challenges, or what are some of the learnings? As you said, this is a very new phase. I'm not sure how many people in this room have been involved in anything involving social CRM. What are the learnings you could pass on to them?
Well, I think I put a slide up. This is actually, by the way, the center where we, our consumer engagement center, where we listen and engage and we create, and we have rotating people in there and experts, internal experts, and
lots of screens
and external experts. Yes, and on the screens we are visualizing the data. So for the moment it's Weibo, Tencent, and Sina, and some others, but hopefully in the future it will also be possible to bring up Wechat there. But I put up some challenges. So the challenge is for sure to find the right platform, because here in this case we need to see if Wechat is the right platform, but we think so.
But you started without Wechat, so you're
yes.
So you're switching. You find the right platform and evolve as the platforms change, is what you're doing.
Yes, we started without, but an advantage is that Wechat it's purely mobile, and mobile is the device which we just have seen earlier. And there's also 80% of the mothers in China, they really engage on social media. But you need to be sure that you have the right platform. So we asked ourselves, is Weibo the only platform we would like to engage with our mothers? And that's why we would like to add Wechat to it. But you also need to know your consumer, because if you start knowing or identifying, get the idea through social media, it's a bit easier in China, as you have only one identification, one telephone number. But then again, you need to get all the other data. And then you need to tell a coherent story, because the story through the different touch points needs to be adequate, and so it's all about the content. You cannot just post the same content. As I'm saying, Wechat, as I said already, Wechat is very service oriented. It's more utility. It's really like an app, but you don't have to create an own app. And the challenge is also, as always in a company, CRM per se is a long-term investment, but we are all living against short-term wins. And I myself, I'm pretty much convinced that with social media you can show more short-term wins, like you can have different KPIs like engagement rates, etc.
So that's, in other words, to convince people we're taking the right path. We've got this engagement rate. We might not be able to track that to a shift in our business or our sales or something like that, but we have some measure, intermediary measure.
Yeah, that's actually, you just mentioned it rightly. So the social to sales conversion, the percentage, that's actually something where we need to look into. I just read an interesting article yesterday that it shows that there's almost no limit to selling products through Wechat. There was a Chinese saleswoman for jewelry in Brussels, and through her network she found a Chinese client, and then she pre-sold before the client was flying into Antwerp to see the 4-carat diamond, and that's a pre-selling through Wechat. So I think it shows there's almost no limitation. But getting back to our products, that's actually what we've been asked and been challenged, and that's, I think, the future to prove how social can help to generate sales conversion. But also using social media, it's faster, it's lighter. So you already have a platform like Wechat where you can start a community. You don't, of course, the data needs also at one point go into your CRM database, but it helps you to be more efficient also from a consumer service point of view. It might even reduce the capabilities. We need to see if automated questions are liked by the consumers and which kind of questions. And you can also better tailor it, so you can really say frequent asked questions come through Wechat, and then you have the time and the possibility to answer the more sophisticated questions by consumer service. And you of course get additional insights, because you can, as we all get so many more insights through social media, we can really see much more of learn much more of the behavior. What are these people thinking, doing? What are their talk drivers? And that's important for us to create the right content.
Excellent. What are the challenges in terms of a flood of information? Is it easy to sort through and figure out what is useful, what is not useful?
Well, this is a challenge, and this is where listening comes into the game, and that's where in our Consumer Engagement Center, again, through proactive listening, we establish better and better processes to predict trends. And these trends are not only, I mean, of course, in China you have all the festive seasons, but a trend can also be something that's just hot amongst the mothers in this time, driven by a social effect, driven by economic effects, driven by whatever, and so that you can create really content on a day-to-day, on a weekly, and then on a monthly basis. And that's where you have to funnel the information and live and learn. I mean, it's a really trial and experiment.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you very much, Hannelore. Some cutting-edge social media, social CRM from China.